We've talked about a lot of things today so far. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like to add?
Well, one of the things, as we're standing here in front of some corn that, was drowned out, um, there's, we've talked about cover crops already, and we've talked about soil health and soil quality a little bit. There's certain things we can do to help improve our soil so that it's better able to handle these weather extremes. And so as we think about, the amount of rain that was received this spring and what a challenge that was for the planting season, if there's a soil health system in place where, reduced disturbance in the soil, so you're not doing as much tillage. With cover crops, that helps to open up the soil. Every soil has a natural structure that that gives it the ability to manage air and water through through natural processes. And there's microorganisms and a lot of different things that are going on in that soil that help to build that soil structure. And as we come through and we do a lot of disturbance through tillage, we destroy that soil structure. That does a good job of injecting air into the soil system. However, when that air kind of is compressed out of the system, it mashes that top horizon of soil down. And so that can help contribute to some problems like what we saw this spring. If we get excessive rains, the soil is not able to handle those kinds of rains because the pore spaces in the natural pore spaces in the soil, also those channels created by earthworms and other critters in the soil, they've been cut off and destroyed by tillage. And so we just don't have those kind of opportunities to manage air and water in the soil that we would have if we were managing the soil for better health. And so cover crops, no-till, and other conservation practices like that can help to improve soil quality and help, give more resilience to weather extremes. Now, sometimes, and this spring may be an example of that, but when you get so much rain in a short period of time, sometimes we just can't handle that much rain on the soil we have. I mean, we have drainage in the soil, drainage tiles in the soil that help alleviate some of that water when it gets here. But, we're farming in many cases what used to be old wetlands. And so those soils and those pockets of land are used to holding water. And so as we've artificially drained them out, oftentimes those artificial drainage systems don't have the capacity to alleviate the water fast enough to save the crop. And I'm thinking that's probably what was the case here. In this area behind me. Also, when those drainage tiles lead to an open ditch, when that open ditch gets full and the tile outlet is submerged, there's just no place for the water to go. So understanding that there are limitations to what our soil can do to handle and manage air and water, when we have events like that just don't, there's sometimes it's just too much is too much and there's nothing we can do about it. But, that's all part of a healthy farming system, thinking about soil health, thinking about how we manage the nutrients on the farm to feed the crop when the crop needs it, so we're not losing those nutrients to the environment. I'm thinking about how we manage air and water on the farm, and that's important because, number one, it helps the crops manage air and water. It helps them gain access to nutrients. A healthier soil gives crops the ability for the roots to grow and for them to match up with the necessary fungi and different bacteria in the soil to help transfer nutrients. So there's a lot of good things that can happen. Also, as we build organic matter, that's another good thing. Because again, that's where the magic happens in the organic matter, where those nutrients are held, where the transfer to the plants, and where we have that great opportunity to store water in that. So when we get a real dry period, we've got some additional water in that soil profile that we can help to use to nurture the crop maybe, longer than what would be present in soil that's not quite as healthy. So, soil health is one of those things that's really gaining steam and traction right now across the farming community as we think about, we talked about sustainability earlier. That's one way farmers are working to be more sustainable. As we think, we're no longer thinking about our soil as just the stuff that holds our plant roots. We're thinking about it as a living system that has, organic matter, that has bacteria, that has beneficial bacteria, that has insects and beneficial insects that can help the crop, and those kinds of things. I think a lot of times where we get into trouble is where we get out of balance. And when we get our systems out of balance, that's when we begin to get predator pests that hit our crops and damage our crops. If we can keep a healthy balance of all of those kinds of things, in our environment, that's going to be so much better for us in terms of managing for the beneficial bugs. Will help us to mitigate the bad effects of the negative bugs, and bacteria and fungus and all those kinds of things are the same way. So if we can maintain a healthy balance in our soil of those kinds of things, and I think that holds true in everything. If we can maintain a healthy balance in our forests or in our prairies, instead of artificially having to insert those things through better living through chemistry, they say, if we don't have to insert those things, that makes us more sustainable and makes us better able to manage our farms in a way that can lead to better soil and water quality.